Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are across the globe. Welcome to Esther Austin Global. Well, today I am in Las Vegas. Yes, I'm back, and I've got this wonderful gentleman with me. His name is Gregg Austin, the same surname as me as well. I was listening to him last night and I was watching, I thought, actually, we got the same surnames. And Gregg was recommended by Sonny Turner from the Platters, who I interviewed a couple of months ago. And I went along to see Gregg perform last night, and he's going to share a bit more about his performance. And I was like, wow, oh, wow. I spent most of my time doing this in my chair. So Gregg, well, first and foremost, Gregg, you look absolutely amazing. You look amazing. I'm not going to ask you your age, but you look amazing.
69 years old.
69?
Yes.
No, Gregg, he looks fabulous. So this is jet lag, guys. It's still jet lag, okay?
No.
That's jet lag you're seeing. So, Gregg, I usually ask my guests, in a nutshell, in a coconut shell, in a pistachio shell, who is Gregg Austin?
Well, let me see. I've never been asked that question before. I'm just a country boy that was raised in the north in Chicago, Illinois. My parents were two very grounded individuals who I was. At the time, I didn't know how lucky I was to have parents that I had. And, I tell people all the time, I grew up in a southern home in the north.
Brilliant.
And I learned early on in life about basic things. You know, it's being able to say please and thank you. Having an appreciation for all those things that I had been given, and even more so once I became a parent and realizing that things I didn't even acknowledge at the time, and I'm so thankful right now. You're looking at a guy who has a very charmed life. I got a great education in Chicago. I've had great jobs. And I have had great luck in this business for over 30 years.
Wow, brilliant. And what was really key, Gregg, is that you had that initial foundation, because oftentimes you don't have that initial foundation and platform in your life from your parents.
Exactly.
Then, sometimes life can be a little difficult and to maneuver as well.
Well, I think I've never let show business govern who I am as a human being. I'm a guy that, when I started in this, to actually be professional in this business, I was 35 years old.
Okay.
And I spent my entire, those years before 35, I sang in church, another place I was grounded in, and I learned.
That's a good pause. So you were saying about church?
Yes, man, I grew up in church, and I learned a lot of things that as a kid, you don't understand that. We were grounded. I'm a very blessed person, but that's because of the upbringing I got from my family, my mom and dad. Church I grew up in, my mom and dad were there for well over 40 years, 50 years. That's the only church I ever knew about. When they buried my father, the minister that baptized me was the minister who saw over his funeral. I'm just, when I think about my life in a nutshell, I have to say it was rooted in that little Baptist church that I started at all those years ago, because, it's funny, you get lessons as a kid that you don't even know you're getting, and then as an adult, you get to that line, but you never cross it because of the things you learned when you were a kid.
Yes, definitely.
And so, and even now, with these opportunities that I've had over the years. When I came to Las Vegas, I didn't know anybody.
And how long ago was that?
I came to Las Vegas in May of 1988, which was 30 years ago. And I didn't realize it either until I was telling somebody else, and I thought, that's a long time. But it's funny, I've been successful here for as long as I've been here. And I don't pat myself on the back or think there's anything special about me. I've always tried to do the right thing by people, even when they weren't doing the right things by me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work. Work does not scare me. And so if I had to say anything about my success in Las Vegas, I'd have to say that it's because I'm not afraid to work. When I get an opportunity, a lot of times people will give you an opportunity to see you succeed.
Yes, definitely.
I should say, to see you fail at it. Matter of fact, we're in the Westgate. When I first came to Las Vegas, it was the Las Vegas Hilton. And I got an opportunity here in July of 1988 that I was not supposed to succeed in, and I did.
And what was that opportunity, Gregg?
Well, they were, ironically enough, even in those days, there still was a color barrier. There's probably one here still now. And so what the hotels would do is, and I can say the hotel, I would say people in places would prevent us from working in nice rooms. Or they give you a nice room to work in to see you fail.
Right. And what would that failure look like? Why would you fail? What was their setup?
Well, there was an attempt to show that you weren't up to the challenge of being a showroom act.
Okay.
Again, I didn't know anybody, and one of the first things I learned from my father, my dad said, not everybody can take these and apply them to these. And see, therein lies the magic part of what I do, because I can actually look at something and see it and know I don't have to copy it, but I know how to do it where I can succeed at doing it.
Okay.
So they would put you in a place, for instance, this showroom up front here, when it first opened up, we were the first act on the stage. Brilliant. And there was a guy here who was the entertainment director. His name was Foster Wilson. And he just knew we weren't up to the challenge. After we played for 2 weeks and packed the room every night.
Fantastic.
He promised to bring us back and never did.
And you know, when you said we, if you could just expand on the we, because I didn't sort of formally introduce you. I introduced you as Gregg Austin, but you know, who is Gregg Austin and who is the we?
Gregg Austin is, I formed a group in October of 1986 in Chicago. We call the group Second Wind.
Second Wind.
Second Wind. And I told them we were only going to stay together 1 year. I had a regular job, and I said we'll stay together 1 year to see where we are in a year. And in a year we got invited to Las Vegas. And so I got invited to Las Vegas in November of 1987. I came out here and had a meeting with this place, Las Vegas Hilton. I met a lady named Barbara Kelly, wonderful woman. And she was the one who was instrumental in getting us started. And she gave me 2 weeks in May, 1988.
God, you got a good memory.
I told my wife it's going to be a 2-week paid vacation and back to Chicago. I've been here ever since.
Excellent.
Ever since. And so she gave us a contract here, and Foster Wilson, the guy I just named, she ran the Flamingo Hilton. He ran the Las Vegas Hilton. And so he wanted to put some of his acts on her stage, and she demanded that he put us on one of his stages. Well, he was so sure. That's why I know the backstory. She told us, and but he was wrong. We came in and we've been very lucky. I mean, I'm not afraid of working. I had an opportunity. I worked here for 5 years, and I got an opportunity to move the whole show to Reno, Nevada. And I went there. I was there for 6 years, and never moved family from Las Vegas. My wife's family stayed in Las Vegas because I moved out west to live in Las Vegas. And then when I finished up that trip to Reno, I then started working cruise ships. I was in Atlanta on Royal Caribbean.
Okay. And
Norwegian and Carnival. And then I started doing tours overseas. I played in 15 different foreign countries.
Okay.
And
brilliant.
Been very successful at that. And then I came back here. I got an opportunity to do my own. I came back here and a guy offered me a production show in Arizona. And I went there, what was supposed to be for 7 weeks, and I was there for 10 years. And so I came back to what was a very dismal music atmosphere in Las Vegas, because the casinos used 9/11 to cut back on all the entertainment in town.
Okay.
So if they weren't making, they're still making money. 9/11 didn't affect. I mean, at first, yes, people stopped, but 9/11, this place still. But they used that to cut back on entertainment. And so I got an opportunity. I worked with I've worked with some legendary people. I was
such as, come on.
Well,
come on.
What led to me, you know, I know Sonny Turner. You know,
yes, Lamont. Yes,
Lamont McMorrow is one of my best friends in the world from the Fifth Dimension.
Yes, I'll meet him tomorrow. Yes.
Wonderful man.
Yeah.
Wonderful. These are great people.
He's so funny. He's always got a joke at hand. He just, you know, you're having a conversation with him, and then he just throws something in.
And you think, that's Lamont. Lamont is too much. I tell you, it's just an honor to call that man my friend. You know, I that music I grew up on, and now to be somebody who embraced all of that music then, and now these guys are personal friends of mine.
Yes.
You know, I did a show, oddly enough, with Joe Frazier, and it was through that show that I met this lady, Eileen Goldman, who introduced me to the general manager at the SouthPoint Hotel. She walked up to me and she said to me one night, she says, Gregg, why is it a guy with all your talent and as much as you know about it, why don't you have your own show? And I said to her, well, how many people do you know that look like me that have their own shows in Las Vegas?
Oh, wow.
And she says, no. I said, yes. So she says, well, I know the general manager at the SouthPoint. I'm going to call him. And she called him, and that was on a Wednesday. She says, well, you got Friday. You know, I'm going to introduce you to Ryan, and we'll see where it goes. And I met Ryan, very nice gentleman, but he told me he was interested in the show, but I hadn't met the entertainment director yet. So he set up a meeting with them. I came back, and on the day I was supposed to sign a contract, he says, Gregg, I'm so sorry. He says, if I hire you to do a show, it's not going to give the tech crew a day off. We'll be doing shows 7 days a week. The normal night I would give you would be their off night. And so, and what it was really, that I didn't understand then that I understand now, is he was going to gamble on a show he knew nothing about. So I then thanked him, and I walked out of his office, and I just walked around the hotel, and I saw this little small room. And I thought, and I'm saying one small room is 170 seats. So I went back and I said, well, what's going on in the Grammy? He said, oh, no, you don't want to go in there. We've never had any success in that room. No, I can't. No, Gregg, I says, I can't take a chance on that. I can't put so much money into that room. I can't put the money in it that you need to put this show on. And he went on and on and on. And I said to him, I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't we do a 4-week contract? You pay me what you're willing to invest in the room. And we'll revisit this thing 4 weeks from now. And he did. And 2 weeks in, and 2 weeks of sold out houses.
Sold out, brilliant.
And that was 6 years ago. I've been there all this time. And again, it's not about me. This music, Motown music, is something that everybody, it has no gender, it has no color. People love our music, and they love our presentation of it. And I have so many people, I have so many repeat customers that come back. We're in the 450-seat showroom, and the room is sold out every week.
I was there last night.
It's so
brilliant performance, a brilliant act, and on stage, like you said, you just morph into this amazing performer. You talk about Lamont and his jokes. This guy is full of jokes. I mean, sometimes I'm like, really? You know, you've got a real stage presence, and it's so not in your ego. And it's there's entertainment, there's music, and then you got the smooth moves. You know. I remember I had interviewed Eddie Levert a couple of months ago, and we were joking because he was saying, you know, when you get to our age, you know, you got to learn the moves, and you got to sing, and you got to breathe at the same time. It gets kind of hard. You're trying to coordinate everything at the same time.
And he's telling the truth about that. And I tell you, adrenaline is a wonderful thing. I walk out on that stage, and I have so much fun on the stage, interacting with people in the audience, the stage crew that we have, the show. I mean, it's just one night of great entertainment. Just having fun. And it's so many people that come back. They come back every week. They come back every week. The show sells out every week.
Well, I can see that because they come for the music, but also, like you said, it's the performance, the entertainment. And I was going to ask you, sorry, come on, rewind. Tell us a bit more about the show. So we've spoken about your life and, you know, how you got to this place, but tell us a bit more about the performance and also the other gentlemen that you sing with as well.
Let me start with the guys I sing with. There's Arnold Parker, who's the first gentleman that has a high voice that just shocks everybody because he's this big guy with this little voice. I mean, strong voice now, with this high voice nobody expects. There's Zelman McBride, a guy that I actually started singing with in 1974.
Wow.
And we've known each other that long. I've known him, you know, I've been married 40 years to my wife. I've known these guys longer. And Ron Ransom, who is my ace, our bass singer, again, Zelman and I and him started singing in a group in 1974, and we're still singing today. The show itself, I got the idea about the show. I wanted to put on a musical presentation that featured this music for my demographic. It was like, you want to go out somewhere, but there was nowhere for a guy my age to go.
Your age?
My age.
Your age?
And so you go to these places, and they got what they call it. I've never been into the drooping pants thing, and you know, I think you should dress up when you go somewhere. I think you should, you know, and even with me, again, you'll hear me refer to my dad. My dad was a gospel singer, and when I sang in church, he always told me, you know, you dress above your audience.
Wow.
Okay, where you are, you dress. You don't come in looking like the audience. You dress above your audience, and so we always have and always will.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work that goes into that. But a lot of those things I learned again. All those years ago, I'm still doing to this day.
The foundation.
The foundation was laid.
Yes.
My dad died at 67. I'm 69. But I still carry on that legacy that I learned from him. And so I wanted to put on a musical presentation with all this great music that I grew up with. People that just passed on it. And I knew there was a market for it because every time we did it, we got standing ovations. I once was performing, and stop me if I'm talking too much.
That's fine.
I was once performing in Japan in a huge stadium there, over 10,000 people. Now, they don't have the same electrical systems that we have in America. They'll make stuff up. So they had us on a stage, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the show, all the lights went out, except the lights were on the stage, and our microphones. The band went down, no electricity, but so now the guys are running around because the electricity's not regulated. And so the guys are all looking at us, what are you going to do? So we sang My Girl a cappella. And it would, I mean, you could only see us and hear us. So no instrumentation, we sang a cappella. Those people cheered, I could not. It's just something, when you hear that many people roaring at a song that was recorded in 1965. 1965. The Temptations have always been my, I guess.
Heroes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I got a chance to meet them. I actually got a chance to sing with the Temptations in 1992. A friend of mine, Ollie Woodson, who's passed away on now, asked me to come in. I did sing with them. But without knowing it, and not even giving it a second thought, I designed this group around my view of the Temptations.
Okay.
So, again, this show was structured. I know so many talented musicians and singers and people here in Las Vegas that don't get an opportunity to work on a main stage.
And so you give them that opportunity.
Yes.
Just like the gentleman last night. What was his name again? I apologize.
Who was that?
The singer at the end.
Now, Bruce Williamson Jr. is a former lead singer with the Temptations.
Absolute. His voice, I mean, I had goosebumps. You know, I sat there thinking, what an amazing sort of finale to the evening. I mean, these guys were amazing, and I love the movement. I love the suit. I loved your suits as well. I thought, wow. And then this guy came on, and he did a Luther Vandross rendition, and then he did
Superstar, yeah.
And I was like, and I don't normally sort of go all girly and woo-woo about, when I see guys on stage and whatever, but I was like, you what? Really? Because I felt tingles.
Yeah. He's got that kind of voice.
He's got that kind of voice and that energy as well.
I mean, what he does resonates off that stage.
That's right. He was bounding around, and you can just feel that presence of gifting.
That's what he does.
Gift.
Yeah, exactly.
Gifting. This is in my heart. This is in my soul, and I'm feeling it for you, and I'm feeling it for myself, and I'm gonna just go. Wah!
That's him.
That was it.
That's him. Now, and again, it falls right back into I had this idea that I wanted to give an opportunity to other folks that aren't working on the main stage.
Brilliant.
And he was there last night. The guy who came on with him later on, Ken Young. Another great. He was on the show 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Great singer. And the city is full of great entertainers.
Yes, when I was here in June, I was taken around to different points, and everyone's an entertainer, and it was just so nice that they've got certain platforms that they can stand on. And what I get from you, Gregg, is when I saw you, like I said, you're a great performer, you're a great entertainer, but you're so much about the people. There was this interaction, and also I giggled, I laughed, I giggled so much, especially with that $2 thing. And I was trying to film, but I'm giggling. That was just
Last
so great.
$2. Oh my goodness!
Because you're also a comedian in the mix of all of this, And I was giggling, and I've got to put this video up on YouTube, and you can hear me giggling in the background.
Last $2. Oh, it's taking on its own life. It's taking.
That's right. And then the drummer gets up and he goes out to get, and then your keyboardist and the guitar player goes and gets his $2, and then it just becomes this this comical act, but it also informs for having a great evening out. So there was dancing, there was the music, there was some comedy, and there was all this wonderful mix. And Gregg, where do you see yourself going? How long do you envisage this setup going for?
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, because something, when I get on stage, I'm 29. I get on stage,
great.
And I have so much fun on stage. Then when I get off stage at the end of the night, I'm about 79. I'm going, oh my God.
Reality kicks in.
Oh my own. And it's funny because I have such a great time on stage. I really, it's hard to explain if you don't do this, but when you get on that stage and you're in front of those people, you could do it forever.
Yeah.
You could do it forever. I'm going to do this as long as the Lord lets me do it.
And I believe that as well. I believe that.
I get on stage, I see the people, I have a one-on-one with people. I'm very lucky with that because, I can engage people. People are, like I said, we have so many different things happening inside our show. It's a musical variety show, but there's also comedy. There's interaction with the audience. The audience feels like they're part of the show.
That's right. I saw that. Definitely.
And so it's just something that I've been very confounded in making happen. And again, it goes back to even with dressing. My dad had a phrase he used to use, and he says, "People hear you with their eyes."
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" He says, "People hear you with their eyes. They see you before they ever hear you, and they have an impression of you on your appearance. When you walk out on the stage and you look like $1 million, they're with you.
And not only do you feel like $1 million, but they feel $1 million because you're projecting this sort of whole realm of awesomeness, as the Americans say, awesome. And Gregg, what information or what guidance or suggestions would you give to someone who wants to step outside their comfort zone, who wants to come out of the box? And oftentimes it's fear that keeps us in that place. And one thing that I get from listening to you is this whole thing of having the confidence to step into a different place, to make a change, not only for yourself, for others. And there's that quiet confidence that I feel that's journeyed with you throughout your life.
Well, it's more than an ocean. I tell you, because this is a tough business to be in, and it's not tough from the standpoint of what we do. It's tough from the standpoint of getting to somebody who believes in you.
Yes.
And so,
yes,
I told you the obstacles. If you're not prepared, for instance, I'm going to share this with you. I didn't add this to the story. When I was talking to the general manager at the SouthPoint, he said to me, Gregg, why not? Now this is September of 2012. He says, come back and see me in February 2013, and we'll revisit this whole thing and see what we can do from that point up, because that's when Monday night and Thursday night football will be going away.
Okay.
And so that would free up some of the time for his crew. Well, I knew in my own mind that in February 2013, this guy was not going to know any more about me than he does in September 2012. So you know what? I went in and said, I'm going to give me the small contract and let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And so I took less money, but this gave me an opportunity for him to see me.
Yes.
And not only that, for other people that he trusts to see me. He doesn't know me from a can of grapes. So if I get in the room and I do well, if I get in the room, can of beans. If I get in the room and do well, now he at least has something to say, wait a minute, maybe this guy's, especially when 2 weeks in, we've had 2 weeks of sold out houses in that 170 seat room. By their count, at one time, before we moved into the big room, we had 527 people.
Brilliant.
So it meant there were more people outside the room, standing and watching, than inside the room seated. People were actually coming at 4 o'clock to get seats for an 8 o'clock show. And then they were arguing. It got to the point where I didn't want to go out in the audience because people thought I could just bring seats out of the ceiling and magically make them appear. And so
But you took that leap of faith, though.
Initially, because I knew he was not going to know any more about me in February than he knows about me now in September. So I gambled on myself.
And that's the key thing. He gambled on himself.
And he gave me a lot of it. You know, there's a lot of Foster Wilsons in this town, and maybe I shouldn't be so hard on the guy. And it's sad to say, but I have to, in order to be truthful. Entertainers come into town with a vision of, I have an act, so that means you're going to buy it from me. No. You come to a town, you leave your home where you're a big fish in a little pond. Well, you come to Las Vegas, this is the ocean. There's plenty of fish out here. And everybody has as much talent or more than you do.
Yes, I've noticed that.
And so you have to think to yourself, what is going to be special about me?
What's your USP?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how am I going to, in the midst of this ocean of great entertainment, how am I going to get my niche? How am I going to do it? By the way you look, by the way you conduct your business, by the way you perform, by the way you treat people.
Yeah.
You know, people, and I tell them all, people, just because you put a show on does not mean people have to come and see it.
Yes.
They have to want to come and see it.
So what is that draw? What is that draw? What is that extra something where people will come to see it?
Well, you have to, first of all, find some common ground with those people. It's like I knew the demographic 35 and older, I knew for a fact were staying home. Now you got to think about this. Think about this now. Last night was Tuesday night. Why were people going on Tuesday night before I came along?
That's true.
And I mean, it was almost the impossible dream. But the reason it worked, because outside of Tuesday night at the time, there was nowhere else to go. So they had no problem coming out on Tuesday night, because
It was someplace to go.
it was a place to go with people our age that, when you get to be this age, you've had your time. Like, I'll tell you one of the obstacles I faced when I first started. They told me that my crowd didn't drink as much as the young crowd. I said, because we've had our time for DUIs, drinking, driving. We don't do those crazy things anymore. But here's what we do. We eat. So I said, look at the restaurant. We gamble.
Because you knew the crowd, you did your research. Yes.
We come out. We'll buy a drink now. We're not over drinking. No, it's not going to be a $5,000 bit. Now we will drink one drink. I'm not getting drunk, falling down drunk in the place. No, I never did that. But the age I would have done it in, I didn't do it in. So, but they have to. When I made them understand. See, when you're talking to these people, you also have to know what you're talking about.
And you have to know your audience, which you clearly do.
I do, and it's and everywhere. Oddly enough, this is something else I had to kind of get over. I kept saying I kept getting these offers to go, and everywhere we've been, knock on wood, we've been successful. But I don't care what side of town we play on, where we go, there's that demographic that wants to see this show.
Old school.
And so the old school music, and they want to see it perform, and they want to come in and have a good time, and they want to jump up and dance with you, and it's even more so than I even imagined. I can't take credit for knowing everything, but I knew most of everything. I had a feeling for it, and I'm still shocked. We have 200 VIP seats in the room. Now, when we started, when we got into the big room, now that was the other thing. The cover charge was $5 in the small room. The cover charge in the big room was $10. And it's $15 to get a reserved seat. Those $15 seats, when we first started, there were only 50 seats. We sold out of them. Then we moved to 100 seats. We sold out. Then they moved to 150 seats. We sold out. Then they got to 200 seats. Sold those out. They went to 250, but then we started getting complaints from the general admission that there weren't enough seats in the room because all the research.
Okay, so all the VIP seats were being used.
So we had to back up, but we sell out those 200 VIP seats every week. We're at capacity, standing room only, every week.
And sort of in winding down, how many times do you perform? Is it only at the SouthPoint that you perform?
Nope, I have another show.
Okay.
We do another show.
Busy man.
On Friday nights, we perform at Texas Station Hotel on the other side of town.
Okay.
It's a station casino, and the general manager there, a wonderful lady, her name is Stacy Stagg. Now, she called me and wanted to buy this show from me. And we sat down, and the thing I admired the most about her, she didn't come in and tell me what I already knew. She listened to me. And so that room is a sold-out room every week on Friday too.
Fantastic.
And it's
fantastic.
But everywhere we've ever taken this show, Anthem, Summerlin here, they're two separate communities. We've played in both theaters, sold both those theaters out. And you see some of the same people that come on Tuesday night.
Come on Friday night.
They come on Friday nights. They come to these other. They support us too. So it's, the show itself, the concept. I don't know if I had to take credit for anything, and I only do this. I'm trying to be careful because I'm not one of those guys that has this huge ego. But I've seen other people try to duplicate the show.
It's not worked.
They're not doing it. They're not, because we have I have a one-on-one with my audience, and so I made everybody on that stage, every person out on that stage. I mean, you saw the guitar player, the bass player, everybody.
There's that synergy.
Yes.
There's a beautiful synergy between everyone.
With all of us.
Yeah.
We're one big happy family. It's like a machine that just rolls. I mean, and we started out with one group, and this group I got now are just phenomenal people, great at what they do, but they also respect the fact that we're a unit.
Yes, you can see that.
We're a unit, and everybody's got the job to do, and everybody's a star at what they do. I'm the leader. That's all I take credit for. We're just one-on-one with the audience, and I just, I've been very blessed with being able to be one-on-one with an audience, to actually talk to people, to actually pull people in when I'm talking to them, to say funny things to them and have them laugh.
Oh yes, I remember that from last night. I remember that so much.
When I told a joke about being married 40 years, and I said to 4 different women, and everybody started laughing.
You told a lot of jokes last night. It was an amazing experience. And Gregg, can you give me a rendition? Because Gregg, his performances are really around old school. And what I liked about what you did last night, you honoured Aretha Franklin. And can you just give us a rendition in winding down any track that you choose to live on Esther Austin Global?
All by myself with no music?
All by yourself.
In this afternoon, see me see. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day.
I pretend I'm doing the guitar.
When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. I guess you'll say, what can make me feel this way, my girl?
My girl.
Talking about my girl, my girl.
Brilliant. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gregg Austin. And what's the name of the band as well? What's the whole...
My group is Second Wind, and we're the magic of M-Town and more.
Brilliant.
Right here in Las Vegas, Tuesday nights at the SouthPoint on the south end of the Strip, Friday nights at the Texas Station Hotel and Casino on the South Padre showroom on the north end of the Strip.
Well, thank you so much. There was so many different nuggets of gold and wisdom in this interview. And I hope that if you are in a place where you want to step out and do your thing, step out, because so many of us have, and we continue to. We understand the fear barrier, the fear factor. But if you really want to go for something, you just got to take the bull by the horns, as we've seen by Gregg. When he was told that he couldn't do it, he made it happen. You got to make it happen. And
gambled on myself. You gotta have confidence.
That's what I'm doing as well. That's what I'm doing in Las Vegas. I am gambling on myself to really take what I do to the next level, and it's a real privilege and honor to interview another old school legend. Thank you, Gregg.
Thank you so much, Esther. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you very much. Okay, I thought I'd capture a little bit more of this gentleman's story, because he said something really key. If you could just tell us, what were you doing before you became a musician or performer? What do you call yourself?
I've
or
always
entertainer?
sang, but at the time that I got this opportunity to come to Las Vegas, talk about opportunities, when I got the opportunity to actually come to Las Vegas and perform, I had worked at the post for the U.S. Postal Service for 14 years. I was a letter carrier. So I came out here on what I told my wife was going to be a 2-week paid vacation, and then back to the post office, not knowing that during the time that I was performing, I really realized I could do this. When I took the stage here, and oddly enough, my friend Sonny Turner was performing,
Sonny, yes.
and I went and saw him, and I was sitting with my mouth, I could not believe this guy. But when I watched him, I realized I could do this. If he could do this for a living, so could I. On the second week that in May of 1988, I brought my wife out here, and she was at every show. They made me that offer. They offered me a 5-year, 42-week contract, and I realized, oh my God, they offered me a 42-week contract. There's only 52 weeks in a year. How am I going to do it?
Especially having your full-time job
I
in
have
the
a
background.
full-time job at the post office. I have a wife, home, 5 children, everything back at home that I thought was just going to be, I get a chance to go and actually perform in Las Vegas and go back to my job. Well, I actually didn't want to go back to my job. I wanted to stay and do this. So I spoke to my wife about it, and she looked at me and says, if that's what you want to do, I support you. I took a 6-month leave of absence from the post office. Before I did that, though, I went to the one lady. You see, I have 2 ladies in my life at the time. And I went to the other lady in my life, my mom. And my mom, when I told her what I wanted to do, she looked at me. She looked down at first, and then she looked at me. She said, well, son, I know you. And I know if you get into this, you're going to get all the way into it. So all I want you to do is go out there and make us all proud. And I came to Las Vegas with the wind beneath my wings, because the 2 most important people in my life supported what this, and it wasn't even a dream. I came out here with one focus: succeeding. I had nothing else. When I took that 6-month leave of absence from the post office, I can't tell you where I was on that day that I was supposed to decide whether I was going back to the post office. I wasn't looking back. I was looking forward. I can't even remember today where I was on the day I was supposed to call back to the post office and give them a yea or nay as to whether I'm coming back. You can't serve 2 masters. And I decided I was going to do this. And for the past 30 years, that's all I've done.
Brilliant.